Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and finally the Turlock California Adventure pallet has arrived. We built like a 6-foot long pallet and sent it along, and with everything with the weekends and how dates landed, took a little longer than we expected, but pallet is here. All those guys are at a disadvantage because they're like not here at work, don't live that close, so I get to open up everybody's stuff and see how everything fared and see what we have. So I'm gonna cut the package open. It's raining, of course, so I gotta do everything on the tailgate, bring it inside, because I don't want to leave any of the cars sit outside in the rainy mess. So I'm going to hand carry everything inside. We'll lay it down, and then we'll kind of go over everything that we scored in case anybody missed that along the way or stuff that we didn't show. I thought you guys would find it interesting. So let's see how it fared. You may notice the pallet has a little more cardboard and packing than when we did the video. Luckily, Tom, Larry, and Joe, to help us out with the pallet, they thought that it needed a little more packing for safety so nothing fell out. So they put an extra layer on, so thank you guys for that, because it definitely helped get everything here without anything falling off the pallet. Layer number one. So see, one thing we don't want to get wet. I'm gonna pull it out right away. Mike got this really cool, you guys, little mini Hamm's beer tap, or like mini keg, that he wrapped up so it didn't get opened or anything, but he got this really cool beer keg. So it is cardboard, and that's part of what's so neat about it, is it's in the box. So we wanted to get that out of the rain right away. More smalls, but kind of heavy. Ooh, Jay's Pride Possessions. Gold Moroso valve covers. Yeah, we don't understand why either. Ooh. Crusty old chrome Cadillac valve covers. Kind of cool. Forgot I got those. This is a Mike item. One of Mike's first hot rod purchases for his project. Old drop axle. I think it's like a 37 up. Maybe it's even 42 to 48. Not sure. But got an old drop axle for pretty affordable from one of our viewers, actually. Okay. Some funny looking tires. Yes. There we go. Got these for like ridiculously cheap. I think they're like 10 bucks or something, but they're reversed or widened 40 Ford wheels, or 40 Ford style, could be 42 to 48, but anyways, they were reversed style wheels, and they are awesome. And the chrome is actually pretty decent, so cool to grab these. Another one. Like funny looking tires. These like half slicks, or Firestones, brand new, in 18-inch, which are really awesome. Happy to find these, and they were a pretty good deal, I think. There we go. That was two of them. Can I get my headers yet? old crusty, wacky, awesome Nick Choppet. He's always nice enough to let us stop and visit and bother him every year when I'm in town. And he was just happened to be cleaning up shop and had these in the corner and said make them leave. So I was excited to see how these fit up to a car, and maybe we can make them live again on an old hot rod. So our 32 firewall from we stayed with Jeff outside of Fresno. Found this after we walked past it about 15 times. So that's cool. Mike scored big time. Found a Buick nailhead aluminum. Which one is it? Oh yeah, it's a Schaefer. Aluminum Schaefer flywheel. It's pretty sweet. And he got his adapter to an early Ford Trans for nailhead. So I know he was psyched about that. Super cool. Got this, I actually bought this ahead of time, but it counts. It's a Gemmer steering box off an old like Chris Craft boat, but has a Gemmer like Ford style steering box, but it's got this super cool adjustable bracket on it. So this part would sit on like the frame rail right here, and it has like a set screw in it that you can adjust the angle of the steering column. So super cool piece. I buy these whenever I can find them, either to resell or to keep for myself. I have one that's set aside for the Sweetheart Roadster, but if you ever find these, they're really neat. The only thing is usually they turn the opposite way, so you need to put the steering arm straight up instead of straight down, which if your car's sitting really low, it doesn't really matter. But I mean, literally, it's got like a Ford style, early style tie rod, or I mean ball and socket for the connection there. Super cool. Got that for a pretty good deal. Okay. Jay got this F100 or F1, what is it? F100 steering box I think he got for really cheap, like 50 bucks or 75 bucks or something. So I got a good deal on that. Really nice box, turns real nice. So another piece to his puzzle for his hot rod project. So I got this old chrome tube axle. It's heavy as all get up, but basically I bought it for had some chrome Ford steering arms on it, or spindles rather, that are in good shape, and the chrome is nice. So the tube axle I'm probably going to get rid of, sell on, because it's not something I probably would run, but I'll keep these spindles, and I should end up getting a set of spindles for basically free in the end. But yeah, pretty cool. Old chrome is cool. Signland. So, throw these out. All right, now the big boy. So pumped about this. All right, let's see what kind of stuff we got in the boxes here. I kind of half forgot what all smalls we bought. We're always rushed so much, not rushed, but we're always so jam-packed with our schedule when we do this trip that usually it ends up being all a blur, and some of the small things you forget about. So I'm kind of excited to see what all I got, because I have forgotten, and I definitely forgot what these guys got. So I'm gonna put the super valuable gold valve covers over here. Oh, and George's popcorn. Wonder if it's any good. Oh boy. Holy crap. It's not like totally stale. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. All right. Pretty good. Anyways, oh, awesome. Totally forgot about these. Yes. Anyways, so these steering wheels, so if you ever go to a swap meet, I'm sure you guys had it happen to you, where you go to a swap meet and basically you are early in the swap meet, you look at something and maybe it's a little too much money and you second guess, you're like, I'll come back to it, and then you forget it or whatever. Well, last year I was walking around, I saw these really cool steering wheels hanging up right when we first walked into the swap meet on Saturday at Turlock, and made an offer to the guy and he didn't take it, and they were really cool, but I just was kind of early in the day and I didn't want to blow a bunch of money. So I kept walking, totally forgot to go back and try and buy them later in the day, and literally for like a year now I've been thinking about, like, man, I should have bought those, they'd be really cool, they're kind of rare, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, we're walking around and we actually had some viewers right at the space next to him that had a sign for us that was super cool, thank you guys. And we hung out with them a bunch and talked, and even they let us keep some parts there while we were wandering around. And you know, while Mike and Jason and George were talking to them, I just started wandering around in their neighbor's space there looking, and there you go, the wheels were still there. And these are awesome. I got an extra horn button too, which is, or horn ring, which is awesome. So I'm gonna take these out and get rid of the box. We don't need that. All right, steering wheels. How freaking awesome are these? So they're Mercury S22. I think it might have been like a Comet. I forget now. I looked it up and now my memory is horrible. So I think they're like early 60s, pre-64. I think they might, I want to say 62 Comet. But they're a Mercury S22, was like a higher trim level or power package, and they had these really cool wheels in it. I've seen they use these wheels in a bunch of different vehicles or similar wheels. The Turnpike Cruiser, which was like the fancy station wagon or the fancy sedan, I believe. Some of them even had a flat top in the early 60s or late 50s. So it's kind of neat finding these, and I think I ended up. So I think last year he had like $300 a wheel on them or something like that, and I was just gonna buy one. This year I came back and I think he had $250 a wheel on them, and went back and forth, and I think I ended up getting both of them for like $350, and then I got the extra horn ring I think for $50 or $40, so ended up working out pretty good. I got the two wheels and the horn ring for basically $100 less or $50 less than what he was asking per wheel last year. So really psyched. They're in great condition. I think these would look awesome on a like late 50s, early 60s style hot rod. You could even run these in some kind of custom and they would still look pretty cool, but I think they'd be really bitching in a roadster. So I kind of sort of am thinking about maybe running one of them in my in the Sweetheart Roadster, not sure, but either way, they were really cool. They're neat. I usually buy like in bulk like this because, or in doubles, because you get a better deal, number one, and then if I have two of them, if I end up putting one in a car, no doubt one of my buddies will be over here or somebody will come and visit. They'll fall in love with one of the wheels and end up trading it off or selling it or something, and it'll all even out and I'll get one of the wheels for free or close to free for myself. I'm kind of leaning towards this like seafoam green one, but either way, these are super cool. Just great wheels, and I've never really seen them before, and they seem to be pretty hard to find. I saw like one of these horn buttons or the emblem in the center of the wheel on eBay, and I know it was new old stock, but I think somebody had like $500 or $600 for just like the emblem or the cap. So either way, these wheels, they gotta be pretty rare, and I'm happy to have them. So put them in the archives, as I call it, aka just put them on a shelf and hang them for now. But really psyched about those. Perfect example. Totally forgot I bought these, and I'm psyched. Popcorn. Hopefully I don't choke while I'm talking, but screw it. You may remember in the Moultrie swap meet video, Jay is also gathering parts to build a hot rod pickup project. And same as Mike, I kind of told those guys the best thing to do is start gathering parts now and have your eye out for a body or a good deal on a body, and hopefully by the time you get all your parts together, you'll find a body and everything will come together really quickly. Since they're starting from ground zero with like no parts, they're just gathering. So Jay bought a pair of finned Buick brake drums, which is kind of the era or the style he's going for. But you also need backing plates to go with it. You can use like Lincoln backing plates, which are the 12-inch ones. You can use like F250 or something like from the 60s. I've had them a couple of times. They're also 12-inch and they get you the Bendix style brakes. But what I actually saw these across the way and almost forgot because I bought that kick-ass Pennsylvania Tire sign. And I was on my way to tell Jay I'd seen a guy selling Buick drums with chrome backing plates all set up for the Buick brake conversion. And Jay went over, struck a deal with the guy, and these are the C4 Racing. They sell like these stamped backing plates to have the Bendix, so they're basically like Lincoln copy backing plates. But Jay got the set of these that are chromed, which is pretty sweet, but basically like brand new everything. You know, the shoes are barely used. If they were used, it was very little. Wheel cylinders, all that stuff. He'll probably change the wheel cylinders just to be safe, but he got the whole backing plates and they're chrome, which is pretty sweet. So these with the Buick drums will be really awesome. So I think Jay paid like $300 or something for these, but they're pretty pricey new, especially chrome ones. I think unloaded they're like $300 or $400. So to get all the stuff and chrome, I think he did okay. Didn't steal them, but it was something he needed, so he was happy to find them. And they're not like rusty old, crappy Lincoln ones that he has to blast and clean. He's got them ready to go, so he can start bolting his front end together because he has I think he's got a drop axle. He's got these. He's got spindles, so he's moving right along. He can start building the front axle soon. Smalls box, which is kind of heavy. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Sweet. So, when we were in the Fresno area, staying a night on the way to Turlock, I was able to pick and got some good stuff. And one of the coolest things I got were these old cast aluminum finned water pipes for a flathead. Super cool. I've seen like some of my little books and old magazines. I've seen these, and I've seen them at like swap meets over the years in Hershey, and they're like usually super duper corroded, like all like eaten away. Like this one has a little bit of it's just corroded a little bit at the edge, but usually they're like really, really bad, and you wouldn't want to run them. But these are like actually pretty darn nice. So these would go as your upper water pipes on a flathead V8. And they just look bitchin' on a on a retro style car with your beehive oil filter and all that stuff. It just looks really neat. So I would love to run these on a car. I've been thinking about the coupe, but I don't know. You can see it over here. I have the coupe set up a little differently. I have the bend in the pipe, in the metal pipe, but ooh, yo, we might be able to make these work. I got this chrome. This is just the oil pipe that goes. Oh boy. Goes to this chrome Model A oil pan. Now I don't really need this, but it was a good deal, and I figured I'd buy it and maybe turn around and make a couple bucks on it. But pretty neat old weathered chrome oil pan for a Model A, and the oil distribution pipe or whatever you want to call it. It's also chrome, so got those. Probably clean this up a little bit, and then you guys will see it either on my Instagram, eBay, somewhere. swap meet, I don't know yet, but super cool, especially if you got an old hot rods. Would be neat. All right, so I showed you guys, we talked at the swap meet, but I got a really neat Edmunds 4-barrel air cleaner, old cast aluminum air cleaner, and the guy wanted to sell a batch of parts together. Whatever reason, he just wanted to get rid of stuff, so he had things together. But one of the things that caught my eye in the pile of stuff was this cool old 12-volt Ampco finned, air-cooled, it's finned, just a gimmick basically. But anyways, really neat old coil that's 12 volt. A lot of times when you see these old coils, they're 6 volt. So if you're running something that's a little more modern where you've converted to 12 volt, which a lot of people do, you can't always use these 6 volt coils. So it's cool to find a 12 volt one, and I'm hoping that it works. I have the coil actually hidden on the coupe, but this is something that I'll probably hold on to for another build. I've been gathering parts for a bunch of different cars, so it'd be really cool to have this for something in the future. These are so unusual, and to find one that's 12 volts, definitely something I want to hold on to, because that's just would look really bitchin' on the firewall of an old hot rod with all the right old parts. So really cool. All right. So what else is in here? Got a batch of Diamond T gauges. So I was looking at a guy's stuff that he had a bunch of he had a bunch of just randomness, but he had a couple of neat old gauges. And here, after I got talking to him, he restored a bunch of old Diamond T's. So he had some just leftover parts he was selling of Diamond T stuff. So I went and first bought this gauge that's an early Stuart Warner rear mount amp gauge. This looks a lot closer. This looks a lot like you would see some of the fancier, like Allburns, Packards, different stuff. These earlier rear mount Stuart Warner gauges are pretty cool, and I've been getting into gauges a little more. I used to not care. I should say not care. I didn't pay attention as much to that stuff of matching gauges together, and as I've started getting heavier and heavier into collecting old stuff, I've been trying to put some gauge sets together. So this is a neat old gauge that I may or may not sell. I'm not sure yet. It's the only one I have. I may just put on the shelf to see if I can find more, or horse trade it for another gauge that somebody needs that maybe I need one. But pretty cool to find this, and you can see let's get the early Stuart Warner cursive. May not be able to see it, but anyways, cool gauge. Glass has a little crack in it. You could run it as is, or I know there's some guys that are selling replacement glass and are restoring some of these gauges nowadays because this stuff's getting really expensive. So I got that. So I also got some later. So I left behind these other 2 Diamond T gauges actually overnight, and I thought about it overnight, and then I kind of went online and looked them up, because again, I'm not as good with gauges off the top of my head, and I looked it up, and it turns out these Diamond T gauges are actually bringing some money even for the later ones like this. So I went back and snatched these up. I think I paid $5 for the other Stuart Warner, the early one, and I think I might have paid $20 for these for the pair, so I should do pretty well. I'll probably end up putting these up for sale and pass them on, because I don't really have any plans to use these. I may keep the earlier one, but these ones I'll probably just pass on. But they're also, I believe, early Stuart Warners. Yep. Yeah, they're also like Stuart Warner, this one is. So they're really cool. If you need to match a set together, get with me. If you guys are looking, hit me up. And I'll probably be listing these for sale as well, possibly. I don't know, we'll see. But I may hold on to them for Hershey and trade them, I don't know. Anyways, cool gauges. Part of my little stuff I found in Fresno. I think Mike bought this little amp, coffee needle amp gauge. I've got a little Blue Line water temp gauge. When we were out in Fresno picking in that sketchy barn, I found this all the way in the back too. So I don't have too many of these. I may hold on to this because I'd like to put a set of these together in a panel. I think they look really, really bitchin' in like a 50 Stuart Warner panel or 60 Stuart Warner panel. They look really neat. So that. I got this really neat, again, when we were in Fresno, digging in that old back of that barn where I found some stuff back there. Super cool early Stromberg fuel pump tester. So it's got, you can put a mechanical, a hard line threaded into your fuel system and check your fuel pump which is really neat. But I just love the look of the gauge. I'll probably just put it on the shelf. I don't know if I'd really ever use it that much, but super cool because it says Stromberg on it, and it's got like the crescent needle gauge on it. So just a neat item. I threw it in because it was forgotten in the back of that building, and it deserves to at least see the light of day again. Sit on my shelf. And last thing in this bin box is this old Edmunds 4-barrel air cleaner. Now it's actually marked on the inside quad. So I think these were originally used for dual quad, dual 4 barrels, but I only got one. Still would be cool on a car with a single 4-barrel if you're doing something like that, or if you have another one and you need a single to make a set, hit me up. I will do some trading or possibly sell this because I don't really have too much plans of running a 4-barrel on anything soon. So this would be really cool. So I was psyched to find that with that other stuff. Again, I did pretty well on that, so that'll be a couple things I'll sell to pass on. All right, so that's all our little stuff. I'll show you guys the stuff on the ground we have, and that'll kind of be it. All right, so I'll walk you guys around some of the other stuff just to show you a little easier than me standing there. So this is the dash. I think we actually got this from in the lineup on setup day, Friday at Turlock. Bought this out of back of a guy's truck. And it turned out I got this chrome axle that's back there. I think it's like a 70s, maybe 60s, but I think it's like a 70s old chrome tube axle. But I bought that for the spindles. And then I also saw this in the back of their truck and bought this. I think I paid $100 for this this panel, which, like I said, I think this was in a 32 dash from the looks of the shape of it. But I mean, the gauges alone, I figured, even if I don't use the panel, are worth it. So it's got a 160 speedo, which is pretty cool. Water temp, oil pressure. It's got this 8,000 RPM Stuart Warner tack, which is pretty cool. It's got a fuel gauge, which you guys might know, these early Stuart Warner fuel gauges are kind of hard to find, so cool to find that, and an amp gauge. Overall, great shape. It's pretty much got most of the stuff is on it, so these gauges are all probably usable. So I'm going to put it on the wall for now or hang it up. I may use it in a car. I haven't really decided yet, but that's a neat dash that I got for $100. There's our wheels I was talking about. I didn't measure them to see if they're 15s or 16s. It might actually be 15s. Could be wrong, but they're early 5x5.5 bolt pattern, which is cool. So those are great just to have. I'll put some tires on them and just keep them around for rollers or whenever the right car comes along. There's those headers again, which we showed you guys, which are supposed to be for Cadillac. I'm gonna hold on to them for now, because I think they're just so bitchin'. Right car, they'll look cool. Mike's drop axle. Here's the chrome axle, which is upside down. I'll probably be selling that chrome axle without the Ford chrome spindles. I'll probably be selling that, and the spring that goes with it, it's a real narrow spring that goes with that. And let's see, here's our backing plates. Jeff, when we were in Fresno, was very nice, was nice enough to let me have some duplicate signs that he had left over that his dad had bought. So there's another one. So these two go together. So at the very least, I'm going to keep one of them. I may hang both of them above each other, like maybe outside my shop or something. I'm not sure. I'm running out of room inside, so we may find a spot on the wall outside to hang them, which would be really neat. And obviously my Pennsylvania Tire sign that's as big as the 39. Huge. We got Mike's adapter and aluminum flywheel, which we showed you guys. This is another sign that Jeff gave me that is just super cool. This caught my eye because it's just a used tire sign. It's just like the typography, if you will, is really neat. But then it also is a double-sided sign that's Firestone, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to find a spot to hang that, maybe from like a beam or somewhere up there. You can see I have some of my double-sided signs hanging up there. So I may find a spot on one of those or up on the beam somewhere that you could see it. So that'll be pretty cool. So I got a bunch of signs this time. And then, of course, got these neat 18-inch tires. They are 8/18. They're really tall. I'll actually put them next to, I think I got, whoops, I got 750 16s on the Go to City Coupe, which are fairly tall. And these 8/18s are even a little bit taller than a 750. But the reason I got these is they are perfect. You would see them on photos of old Berlinville cars and Dry Lakes cars and drag race cars and stuff. I got these at that craziest estate auction ever. I got these pair of 18-inch Halibran Indy wheels, 6-pin center locks. So these would be perfect with those tires. So as soon as I saw those tires, I knew they were it. So I need to find the hubs for these for those wheels. So I got to find some hubs to mount them on the rear of a car. I have some project in mind I'm gathering some parts for. So someday project. So I would love to find hubs for that. But now that I found some tires, I'll probably throw some tubes in it and just mount them up and sit them up on the shelf for now, just so I have another piece of the puzzle. But I do that all the time, buy parts for a car that haven't even started. But there we go. So there is a messy view. Oh yeah, here's our valve covers. Cadillac valve covers. Those should clean up pretty good. Pretty psyched. Look at all this stuff. It's just like a bomb blew up in my shop. Shit. Son of a... Stay. Adding patina. Alright, so that was all of our stuff after my sign just got an extra dent in it that we got on our trip from Turlock and our travels from Southern California all the way up to Turlock and back. Really happy with all the stuff that we got. I know that Jay and Mike are really psyched that they got some more pieces to their puzzle. George got a bag of popcorn, which I may eat by the time he comes over again. We got a bunch of oranges and tangerines, so we're gonna start eating those because I've been waiting to get some of these home. But anyways, so we're happy that we got all this stuff. We want to thank everybody that helped us along the way. As always, I think that's what this hobby is about. One of the things it's about is just the community in general. So I'm always thankful for guys that'll let us crash on their couch, let us use their driveway to build pallets, let us pick at their place, offer parts, any of that. Super thankful. And I am always happy to do the same myself. So if you guys are ever in town or coming this way for an event, my driveway's open to crash in. I got a spare bedroom. Help you guys out with whatever I can do to reciprocate, because again, that's what this hobby's about, is a big community. And if you're into these old cars and you're a nice person, you're cool with me. So I want to thank Jeff outside of Fresno for letting us crash with him, letting me pick. I want to thank Tom, Larry, and Joe out near Turlock for letting us crash there crash at his place with Larry and Tom, and Joe also for letting us use his place of business for shipping the pallet from. All of that is a huge help. Thank you guys, and hopefully we can do it again soon. If you guys have a swap meet that you think that we should hit or go to that is just off the charts, I'd love to get to it. The next big one I know that I'm traveling to is probably Charlotte, which is the first week in April usually, end of March, early April. We're going to be hitting that swap meet, so I always road trip down there. With a bunch of friends, we have an empty car trailer and go down and try and fill it up. And but our summer's still open. We're still looking for swap meets to hit. And if you guys have one you think we should hit up, I'd love to look into it, see if we can fit it into our schedule and meet some of you guys. So I'm gonna eat some tangerines and try and figure out where the hell I'm gonna put all this stuff. Catch you guys later.